But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week.
What happens when Charlie Kirk hits The View with a $100 million lawsuit and Sunny Hostin totally loses control live on national TV? You don't get a calm debate. You get pure drama packed with subpoenas, courtroom chaos, emotional breakdowns, and unintentional comedy all rolled into one wild mess. Sunny starts falling apart on air. Whoopi's giving side eyes sharp enough to slice through steel, and Charlie's busy playing the victim of verbal violence. Meanwhile, the audience is just trying to figure out who's yelling, who's crying, and who's calling their lawyer. And spoiler alert, the lawyers aren't the first ones to crack.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
Now let's talk about that massive $100 million lawsuit. Yeah, $100 million. That number's so ridiculously huge it doesn't even feel real. More like Charlie Kirk is trying to fund his own Bond villain dream, complete with a private island guarded by MAGA parrots, a roller coaster shaped like his Twitter handle, and a gold escape jet ready to take off when things get too wild. This isn't just a lawsuit, it's a full-on performance, a bold power move meant to shake up daytime TV, and honestly, it's doing exactly that. Because when someone throws out a number that insane, you're not just watching legal drama. You're watching an ego blast big enough to light up Hollywood. And the targets? Oh, they're just the start. The View, that daily chaos parade pretending to be a talk show, is less about real conversation and more like a loud, over-caffeinated shouting match where logic gets steamrolled by emotion every time. And if someone dares to have a different opinion, it turns into DEFCON 1 on live TV. It's supposed to be a smart panel of thinkers, but lately it's more like a midday drama club where celebrity gossip becomes fake moral panic, political chats become personal attacks, and interrupting each other has become a competitive sport, with each host trying to outsigh, outglare, and outrage the rest.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world, Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Picture a table of so-called experts who think eye-rolling counts as proof, where debate means non-stop side eyes, sarcastic claps, and over-the-top gasps that drown out real facts. It feels like a live meme gone wrong, and for years this echo chamber has kept rolling, selling overreactions as gospel truth, until Charlie Kirk finally called their bluff. Instead of griping from the sidelines, he marched onto the scene and lobbed a $100 million legal grenade straight onto the set. But it's not really about the money. This lawsuit is a huge, loud stop right there, aimed at the chaos machine itself, because Charlie isn't just suing The View, he's calling out the whole circus for being a stage full of smug, overhyped nonsense masquerading as wisdom, telling them loud and clear, enough with the fake deep takes and emotional theatrics, like grabbing the mic mid-scream and shouting, "Pipe down."
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated.
Because The View isn't just annoying anymore. It's become dangerous, turning loud yelling into fake wisdom and gasps into stand-in arguments. And that $100 million? It's not some wild ego stunt, it's a hard slap of reality for an industry that's been running unchecked on loud ignorance and viral victimhood. Charlie Kirk is basically saying, you can't shout misinformation, mock real conversation, and call it journalism. And he's taking aim right at the heart of the outrage for ratings machine that daytime TV lives on. Yeah, it might seem bold or even over the top, but sometimes you've got to flip the table to stop the spin because honestly, The View doesn't even feel like a talk show anymore. It's a chaotic midday mess full of clashing outfits, recycled outrage, and hot takes that are barely warmed up, where opinions are served raw, facts get dressed up as feelings, and acting morally superior is the main dish. And right in the middle of all this daytime drama is Sunny Hostin, who went from courtroom pro to cue card performer, trading legal chops for on-camera theatrics. These days, she waves her law degree like it's a fashion statement. Instead of a serious skill, tossing around legal terms like she's giving skincare tips, all while sipping coffee and dropping one-liners designed to go viral. Not actually make sense.
Point conference. The were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and
I think it's important that every single person that attended that turning point, every Republican speak up against the swat, against the flags that were waved.
You let them in. President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
Now the irony is hitting hard because Sunny's suddenly stuck in a real legal mess, one that takes more than dramatic pauses and scripted sass to handle. And let's not hide behind the usual excuse of, they're just trying to silence strong women. Because this isn't censorship, it's consequence. Just because a show airs at noon doesn't mean it's immune to the law, and while daytime TV loves to wave the freedom of speech flag, that freedom doesn't cover turning personal attacks into catchy soundbites, so no one should be shocked when the legal system shows up at the door. This lawsuit isn't a stunt, it's a reality check, a demand for accountability from a show that's spent over a decade tossing out noise without boundaries. The View has basically been an open mic for elite hot takes, where yelling wins over facts and real disagreement gets steamrolled by performative empowerment. They call it bold commentary, but let's be honest, it's been ideological theater dressed up for applause and internet points, and now, for the first time, something might actually be off limits.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
Charlie's move is clear. Stop the act and face the facts, because after years of verbal hit and runs, someone finally hit the brakes. No more viral hot takes without consequences. No more roasting people on national TV and thinking there won't be any legal fire in return. The circus went on too long without rules, and now the ringmasters are getting sued. But somewhere between dramatic pauses and commercial breaks, the View crew forgot a major truth. Broadcasting to millions comes with strings attached, and sometimes those strings end in subpoenas. This isn't some twisted underdog story or a Flip David versus Goliath tale. It's about a media machine that got too comfortable throwing shade from a cushy studio, acting like there'd never be a price to pay. And now someone like Charlie Kirk is pulling back the velvet curtain, not to start a culture war, but to call time on the chaos. No more echo chamber, no more applause as a shield. He's doing what a lot of frustrated viewers have only dreamed of, demanding the loudest mouths on TV finally face some real-world accountability, because in a world where likes beat logic and hashtags drown out facts, truth can't be optional, and neither can responsibility. If you're going to fire off wild accusations live on air, fine. But don't act surprised when someone claps back with "see you in court." So next time the theme song plays and the panel slides into their seats, maybe skip the popcorn and grab a legal pad instead, because the era of reckless talk with zero blowback? That might finally be coming to an end, and honestly it's about time.
Let me kind of humble the audience a little bit. Donald Trump won by less than a point in Wisconsin, about 28,000 votes.
He won by a point-ish, 1.2 in Michigan. And then he won by 1 point in Pennsylvania. And so, Megyn, it is conceivable that without this record movement of youth vote, he doesn't win.
Let's be real. This isn't some fragile meltdown, it's a calculated power move. Charlie Kirk is flipping the script on a show that built its reputation by tearing into anyone who dared to disagree. And now he's pushing them out of their safe zone. No applause, no fancy edits, just them, the facts, and a judge. This isn't cancel culture, it's consequence culture. And it just clocked in with a bang. The loudest voices finally got told to pipe down. And the irony? Pure chef's kiss, TheView, the show that loves to wave the free speech flag like it's sacred, is now being asked to explain how that same free speech holds up when it's used to trash someone's reputation in front of millions. Sonny Hostin might want to dust off that law degree, because this lawsuit isn't about ego. It's a reckoning, and it's coming with receipts. Behind the scenes, panic is setting in at ABC headquarters, with legal teams combing through old transcripts like they're trying to decode ancient scrolls, desperately figuring out which episode lit the fuse, while producers are nervously asking, can we still be spicy without getting sued again? And the hosts, once comfy on their velvet thrones, are starting to realize real courtrooms don't come with a laugh track or a cheering crowd.
It's amazing. She's specifically there referring to the women, but of course it's the non-college educated men as well who voted for Donald Trump. And the nerve of this woman to whom the country has given so much to try to dump on people who didn't go to college. Look at you. Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sonny?
And let's talk content, because for years, TheView has been less about thoughtful insight and more about theatrical moral superiority, where outrage over someone's coffee order gets airtime and a scarf can spark a full-blown debate. It's been a non-stop parade of manufactured conflict, with every segment designed to deliver that perfect smug clip for social media, wrapped in boldness and sprinkled with self-importance. The whole show runs on synchronized drama. Eye rolls, head nods, gasps, and applause that feels more like a pat on their own backs than a real audience reaction. It's become a performance factory pumping out viral outrage like it's something you can pull off a store shelf. But now they're not dealing with a trending hashtag, they're staring down a legal timeline. And that blinking red camera has been replaced by cold courtroom lights, where dramatic monologues lose their punch because the judge's gavel hits harder than any mic drop. TheView played judge and jury for years until someone showed up with real legal documents, and suddenly the shouting turned into stuttering, as if the whole panel forgot everything they've said, like selective amnesia kicked in overnight. Years of snarky jabs, personal shots, and character smears? Poof, conveniently vanished. These women turned daytime TV into a weaponized drama zone, dishing out personal attacks between foundation ads and collagen promos, throwing around hot takes with no filter, no facts, just noise. And now Charlie Kirk didn't show up to argue, he came locked and loaded with subpoenas and court filings. This isn't a revenge rant, it's a strategic checkmate. He didn't just clap back, he filed back.
Think if a liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this.
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want me dead, that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like.
Let's be honest, this isn't just some conservative guy throwing a fit. It's a direct hit on a media machine that's been posing as journalism while running on groupthink and glitter. TheView loves to brand itself as a bold platform for truth-telling, but underneath it's been a hype machine for smug one-liners and pre-approved takes. Charlie Kirk's lawsuit doesn't just bruise egos, it tears down the whole illusion, calling out a system that treats every disagreement like a personal insult, and every differing opinion as a threat to be shouted into silence. This isn't some petty clash with a few hosts, it's a full-on challenge to a smug empire that forgot real conversation means more than synchronized gasps and performative outrage. The feathers aren't just ruffled, they're getting yanked out by the roots. This isn't messy media drama, it's a calculated strike against a format that hides behind laugh tracks and trending hashtags, while bullying anyone who thinks differently. Unfolding isn't just a courtroom saga, it's a reckoning, because eventually even the loudest echo chamber runs into someone who's completely unfazed by the noise, someone who didn't come to argue, but to dismantle the whole stage. And that $100 million lawsuit? It's not just a flashy headline, it's a warning siren blaring through every studio that treats mockery like journalism. If you want to treat public figures like punching bags on national TV, fine, but don't act surprised when one finally swings back with a lawsuit instead of a comeback. Sure, The View might see a ratings bump, drama sells, but you know what else sells? Accountability. And this lawsuit just slaps some serious weight behind all those eye rolls and mic drops. This time, the show's signature snark won't cut it, because in court, there's no fast-forward button, no teleprompter, just questions, evidence, and consequences. And poor Sunny Hostin, the show's legal expert, now finds herself in the middle of a real legal firestorm, not some cozy mock trial where she can toss around law terms while sipping tea. This is the real deal, where clapbacks don't count, viral clips don't matter, and facts, damage, and intent are the only things that carry weight. And when your whole brand is built on takedowns, don't act shocked when one of them lands you on the witness stand.
I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have a lot of fun at the Department of Education. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Can I tell you something? Like, I've had quite a few people contact me about that particular post. Like, I'm sure I have 1/100th of what you're getting, but people are contacting me about cabinet posts. I'm like, I got
look,
nothing.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually, after this conversation, heading to Mar-a-Lago for a week. And we have a lot to sift through. And if I could be helpful, I have asked. I want to be actively involved in all things education, as you can imagine.
Let's pause for a moment and really take in what's happening here. Charlie Kirk, a guy often mocked for being loud, is now suing the loudest talk show on TV. And instead of backing down, he's stepping right into the fire, throwing a $100 million punch at the smug circus The View has become. Let's be honest, The View hasn't been insightful in years. It's turned into a daily tantrum wrapped in designer clothes, where opinions don't get debated, they get steamrolled. It's not just biased, it's aggressively biased, with every opposing view met by synchronized scoffs, forced applause, and Sunny Hostin's watered-down courtroom cosplay. But this time it's not just another spicy tweet or soundbite. It's a real legal wake-up call with no laugh tracks and very real consequences. Critics will roll their eyes and call it a PR stunt or just a performance, but if that's true, then give Charlie an award. He's doing what the show never could. Making noise that actually hits home. This lawsuit isn't about vanity. It's a huge, undeniable line in the sand saying, enough. Enough with mock trials dressed up as TV segments. Enough with the echo chamber pretending to be discussion. Fans of The View might try to deflect, say it's satire, opinion, or protected speech, but let's be real. When you constantly twist someone's views, drag their name through the mud, and clown their character before the first commercial break, you can't hide behind the First Amendment like a shield. Neutrality? That ship sailed long ago. Now they're facing real consequences, not just backlash. This isn't commentary. It's character assassination dressed up for daytime TV. While this lawsuit might not shut The View down, it just might force them to look in the mirror for once. Maybe it'll make them think twice before turning real people into punchlines for applause.